almost 80% of people who lose weight gain it all back, and sometimes they gain back even more. But a small group of people manage to keep that weight off for years. So what makes them different? It's not just willpower dieting, it's a mindset shift. Today, we're going to dive deep into those findings and figure out what really worked. So, in this study, Perspectives into the Experience of Successful Substantial Long-Term Weight Loss Maintenance by Maurice Breckley and colleagues, they uncovered the science-backed habits that separate success from setbacks. So if you ever lost weight only to regain it, you know how frustrating it is. And if you've ever done bodybuilding, then you know there is a chance that when you come off of a show, you may regain some weight, maybe even more weight than you lost in the first place. 1 week you're disciplined, for the entirety of a contest prep you're disciplined, then you're back to your old habits. Why? Because contest preparation and general weight loss doesn't teach you how to develop habits and systems to maintain your weight loss. Now, the research in this paper is pretty clear, and it points to 4 key factors that we're going to take a look at that will help you maintain your weight loss for good. If you're coming off a contest preparation, you will absolutely need to regain weight. You won't need to regain all the weight you lost, however. Once you hit the stopping point, once you've sort of recovered and you're where you want to be, then you want to be able to pump the brakes. And before we break down what actually works, let's take a deep look at why people actually fail to maintain their weight loss. Because if you don't fix these mistakes, you too may be stuck in this cycle. Okay, so here's what goes wrong for most people. Number 1 thing that went wrong, they rely on willpower.
In brightest day, in blackest night,
instead of habits and systems. Now, willpower goes a long way. However, whenever you are battling your physiology in terms of dieting down to lower body fat percentages, your body is going to want to fight you. So, to rely on willpower is to rely on a finite resource. Your willpower can swing and vary based on the time of day. So, why would you put all your eggs in that basket whenever willpower is an ever-depleting resource? So, the people who gain back weight tended to rely on willpower. The number 2 thing that people did who failed to maintain their weight loss was they didn't have systems in place for setbacks. So what does that mean? That means a bad meal turned into a bad day turned into a bad week turned into a bad month. And so when they experience one setback, they let it sort of snowball into a whole bunch of other setbacks. And eventually, the one meal that sort of set them off was just the first small domino into a larger series of domino that sort of pulled them out of their weight loss and suddenly, almost suddenly, pushed them back to square one. And the last thing they did was they stayed in diet mode forever. So the people who tended to fail in their weight loss endeavors or to maintain their weight loss, they didn't have a recovery strategy after their diet. They just continued to be in a deficit, which there are going to be some negative effects there, and we all know you can't be in the diet hole forever. But there is good news here, party people. Here are the 4 science-backed things that these researchers found that the successful weight loss maintainers did. So first of all, in this study, they took a look at the 294 weight loss maintainers and what their habits were. The number 1 habit of successful weight loss maintainers was 94% of them tracked their weight regularly. Additionally, they tracked their food, they tracked their exercises, and they tracked other habits. However, this is without obsession. They also monitored and planned ahead for social events. So tracking was a huge part of their life outside of whenever they were in a deficit, and it encompassed multiple things, not just their diet. So for some of us, the tracking part is going to be really difficult. However, if you want to be a successful weight loss maintainer, there is going to have to be some level of tracking after the diet. Number 2 thing, psychological resistance. So not really a habit or skill, but a mindset change. Now, a part of that mindset change was mindfulness and psychological flexibility. So what's mindfulness? Mindfulness essentially is non-judgmental, present moment awareness. And so the importance for this study and for us in general as people is to be aware of the fact that our emotional states and our thoughts can drive particular behaviors that are going to be detrimental to weight loss and maintaining our weight loss. And so if we are more mindful, if we are more aware of the present moment, we can then begin identifying those emotions and those thoughts distance ourselves from those things and begin to engage in more behaviors that we have more control over. And as for cognitive flexibility, that's just a way to engage with your thoughts in a malleable and flexible way, and to not hold too rigidly onto any beliefs or anything that is going to drive particular behaviors that aren't going to be conducive to your weight loss. Now, an interesting finding of the paper was that emotional eating was the #1 cause of relapse in these sets of dieters. And the successful weight loss maintainers developed alternative coping strategies, some of which we'll get into. #3 thing that the successful weight loss maintainers had was support systems and accountability. With these weight loss maintainers, weight loss support groups significantly predicted long-term success. Even just having one person to check in with weekly made a big difference. Last thing, and this is key, the successful weight loss maintainers had an identity shift. Those who saw themselves on a diet were more likely to fail. However, those who identified as a healthy and active person tended to maintain their habits long term. And here are some of the numbers from the study that showed these things worked. In the study, 80% of successful weight maintainers planned for setbacks instead of relying on motivation alone. Self-weighing was the most commonly used strategy in 94% of the participants. Weight regain was the highest in individuals who lacked a structured plan. Lastly, structured meal planning and pre-commitment strategies were common in successful habit maintainers. A pre-commitment strategy is just something that is going to keep you accountable and on track with your habits and goals. If you think about something like donating to a charity that you don't particularly enjoy, if you come off your plan or deviate too much, and it will be automatically sent by a friend who is keeping you accountable as well, that is a pre-commitment strategy. So not only do you get the benefit of an accountability buddy, but you also have this other pre-commitment strategy that you can leverage, because who would want to donate to a charity that they don't enjoy? So that's a fun pre-commitment strategy if you're looking for a little bit more leverage. All right, so now that we know how all of these things work, how do we apply it to your life? Here's your step-by-step playbook. #1, build tracking habits. So you do not have to track everything. Additionally, I would say it's probably good to transition away from tracking all of your macros. However, if we look back at the paper, successful weight loss maintainers, they tracked something. So tracking our workouts, that's a given. We want to make sure that we are progressively overloading, getting stronger, building muscle, so we track that. However, if you don't want to track macros, or if you find that too tedious, then shifting to something like the hand model of eating, check out the episode on the channel if you're interested in that. But transitioning to something like that still allows you to track how much protein, how many carbs, how much fibrous vegetables you have in a way that is sustainable. Remember, we're not looking at minutia here anymore. We're trying to maintain this. So, did I hit my protein goal? Did I hit my step count? All good basic habits to have. #2, train for resilience, not for perfection. Remember, most successful people were psychologically flexible. So you want to start treating an off meal or an off day as information and not something that says anything about who you are as a person. You want to shift your mindset from having little missteps and quitting to using missteps as a way to make adjustments. #3, find accountability, even if it's just a single friend. Even better, if your friend also has some weight loss goals, set a specific day during the week that you all can check in with each other. I had a buddy, we checked in on Fridays, and that was a great way to maintain his goals. And even though I wasn't technically checking in with him, I found myself checking in on my own goals when we were talking. So find a friend or someone who has similar-ish goals to you and just check in with each other. Lastly, we need to begin shifting our identity. So instead of saying, I am on a diet, shifting towards, I am a person who values my personal health, is going to be a more adaptive way of engaging with food, with training, and with life. Just remember, identity fuels your habits. Habits are going to fuel your results. Folks, the truth is anybody can lose weight. But if you want to keep that weight off, you have to stop thinking about diets and start thinking about the person who you want to become, who you want to be in life. So if any of this was helpful, comment down below, subscribe, and I'll catch you all in the next episode for a review or anything bodybuilding and psychology related. See you all next time.